I get to like think about at a very deep level what's important to me in the world. And I get to be connected with nature, so that's a powerful thing. It's something I can't really, it's like a deeper level of meditation that I cannot achieve just in my daily life. Like I'm going to go about my day today. I will get nowhere close to where I get when I'm running in some ultra where I'm pushing myself like bad water. And I have this force against me, but while I'm having that force against me, it opens up like streams of cognition that I don't normally have on a day-to-day basis.
I'm Rip Esselstyn, and welcome to the plantstrong podcast. The mission at plantstrong is to further the advancement of all things within the plant-based movement. We advocate for the scientifically proven benefits of plant-based living and envision a world that universally understands, promotes, and prescribes plants as a solution to empowering your health, enhancing your performance, restoring the environment, and becoming better guardians to the animals we share this planet with. We welcome you wherever you are on your plantstrong journey, and I hope that you enjoy the show.
Hello, Leafy Green listeners, and welcome to another episode of the plantstrong podcast. I'm Rip Esselstyn, and I've got a real doozy of a conversation for you today. This is with the hottest ultra-distance runner on the planet. He was unstoppable in 2021. He is 100% plantstrong. He hails from Cincinnati, Ohio, where he is a school teacher. He is humble. He is fast. And he is amazing. I think an appropriate way to summarize Harvey is a real-life story that just happened a few weeks ago. Harvey was set to run the long-haul 100-mile race that takes place in Florida. It was January 15th of 2022. The only hiccup is that he was stuck in Cincinnati the night before. Every flight was canceled, and he had absolutely no way of getting there by plane. His only option was to hop into his car and attempt to drive all during the night in hopes of making it to the starting line before the gun went off at 8 a.m. And guess what? That's exactly what he did. He made it to the starting line with about 40 minutes to spare, took a short nap, lined up, and then proceeded to win the entire race in just over 16 hours. That, my green leafy friends, is Harvey Lewis in a nutshell. He's an absolute legend of an ultra-distance runner, a gem of a human, and an inspiration for any of us who are seeking to find joy and passion while in the midst of a lot of pain and suffering. Speaking of suffering, Harvey knows how to suffer, especially on the race course. And just last year, in 2021, he won the famous Badwater 135 Ultra. This is a 135-mile race from Death Valley to Mount Whitney. It goes over 3 different mountain passes. And then, just a few weeks later, he outlasted every competitor at Big Dog's Backyard Ultra last person standing race, where he ran 354.16 miles, and it took him almost 4 days, all fueled on a plant-strong diet. In March of this year, he is ready to tackle the hardest ultra on the planet. It's the Barkley Marathon, where, believe it or not, there's only been 15 total finishers in its entire existence. I think that if anybody can finish, I would bet that Harvey has a pretty good chance, and I'll be rooting for you every single step of the way. Speaking of, I want to invite you to lace up your own shoes, head out the door, put on those AirPods, and enjoy this super conversation with the incredibly humble and amazing Harvey Lewis. Now, before you go, I'd like to quickly share that we are offering a free 2-week membership into our most powerful tool, the plantstrong Meal Planner, to really help everyone stick to those New Year's resolutions. The Meal Planner has all our community favorite recipes, an adaptive and mobile grocery list, and support from experts 7 days a week. Simply visit mealplanner.plantstrong.com and use the code PS2022 to redeem a free 2-week membership. Now, take it away, Harvey. I cannot wait to dive into this conversation with you and really talk about two of your big passions and loves that are so, to me, inextricably intertwined. And that is basically your love of running and your love of plant-based nutrition / food. And so I'd love to just out of the gates ask you, like, how did you get into plant-based nutrition? And obviously that probably came after you became a runner.
Right.
But what was your impetus for, fueling yourself with plants?
Well, I had quite a few things that hit me with this. And I guess going back on the journey, it really started back in high school, because in my health class, we watched this video that involved like the slaughtering of animals. Yeah. And I'm really not sure why they showed the video at the time, but it definitely impacted me. And I was just really, I guess, disturbed by the images I saw. And so I decided I wanted to be vegetarian, but it only lasted for about 3 hours or whatever it was until I had lunch, because I had no idea where to begin. Like back in high school, there was not like a vegetarian option. And back in 1993, there was not even I didn't know any other students who were vegetarian. Yeah. So I ended up a few years after that, my mother ended up having a stroke, and she was only 54, a nurse. And it made me be much more retrospective on what we had been eating and what led up to that stroke. And a large part of it was our American diet that we were accustomed to. And so that led me down the path of saying I need to really look at this deeper. And I started reading books and transitioning. And about the same time, I discovered ultras. And so in a matter of maybe 5 or 6 months, I went from the traditional diet, American diet, to eating vegetarian, and then to total vegan while I was in college. And I noticed a tremendous change in my abilities, day and night. I went from being a back of the pack runner to being much more energetic, and there was a transition.
Wow. Where did you go to college?
I went to college, Bowling Green, my first year, and then I transferred to the University of Minnesota. And so I had a untraditional college experience in the fact that I was a young parent, and also I worked during the day. So it was a busy lifestyle and on the weekends. But yeah, it definitely was a revolutionary time in my experience, in my life experience, that is. To go through those transitions, discovering ultras, and also changing my nutrition it had incredible impacts.
Yeah. So, I love the fact that you were able to, find plant-based nutrition to kind of supplement and enhance your running. Your running, I've obviously read up on your story, but I think it's fascinating that you didn't really get into running until high school, right? it just kind of like on a whim, you decided to run was it the Cleveland Marathon?
Yeah. Actually, I did start running in middle school, like right about 7th to 8th grade, that transition. I did track, but I jumped into the Cleveland Marathon when I was 15 as a freshman, and my coaches, they all said, it's not great. You don't want to do it. And the other kids on my team were like, there's no way you can do it. So I love, when someone says you can't do something, it's like the greatest motivation to actually do it. And so I went out. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I could run like 8-minute miles because I could do an 8-minute mile for 8 miles, but that's the first I'd ever run. So of course, when I got to like mile 10, 11, I was dying, and I ended up running and walking the rest of the race. It seemed like it was I was crossing the Sahara Desert or something. I mean, the difficulty for a 15-year-old that has limited experience. It used to be like I was really like Chunk prior to this whole running experience, and so like getting to the finish line was a breakthrough moment in my life, and just kind of opened up so many other portals.
Yeah. So as a 15-year-old that maybe didn't have that much confidence in life, like, tell me how that impacted you and other portals of your existence and how it fed those.
Definitely. So up until that time, I was more of a D.C. student with a couple F's. And after having that experience, it just awoken me to the potential of just determination. So if you're so determined for something, it's just about anything is possible. And that was a new insight for me, because up to that point, I really didn't have the confidence that I could do well in school. That was part of my problem. So I didn't really give it my full effort because I didn't want to not succeed, or I didn't think I could do it. And so I just learned really with everything, it's a matter of how much pressure or effort you're willing to give to make it happen in a lot of cases. So that was one of the biggest impacts on me. And my grades changed. I had an idea I wanted to go to college, but after that, I really did so much better in school and earned like A's and B's versus D's. And it happened like really fast, like literally after doing that marathon, the next school year. That marathon was the end of that school year. The next school year, things were just totally different.
Yeah, that's really, to me, that is spectacular. What achieving something that maybe you didn't think you could do, like finishing that marathon when you were 15, the impact that had on really a lot of future decisions in your life, and the path that you're on now probably would have never happened without you doing that Cleveland Marathon.
That's absolutely not.
Yeah. Can you remember your time in that marathon?
Yeah, I think it was definitely over 5 hours. And I think it was somewhere like 5 hours and 7 minutes, 8 minutes, somewhere around that. And actually, it's like every year I would repeat the same process. And I literally, it took me, I think, 5 years to finally break 5 hours in the marathon. So it was a long time. And finally, so finally I did break the 5 hours, and then it took me a while to get, not too long, because then after I changed over my nutrition at age 20, then I really improved dramatically. So I think I went to maybe like under 3 hours and 30 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. So have you been then kind of vegetarian / vegan now for like 24 years or something like that?
Yeah, so I've been vegetarian for 25 years. And after college, I've always been as much a passion as I have for running and for food, I have for travel.
Oh,
And
wow.
I would do a lot of traveling. I did this journey through Latin America, through 17 countries, just taking the public buses. And in that journey, I ended up just going back to eating vegetarian, just mainly out of convenience because I wasn't making my own food. And back in the late 90s, there were just not that many options sometimes in these travel places. Now I'm much more like I have more discipline about it and I'm more knowledge about it, and there's more availability of things. So I ended up being vegetarian up until 5 years ago. And then in 2016, I said, yeah, I changed back to eating just plant-based, all vegan. And that's a remarkable to me because my strongest running years of my life have actually been the last 5 years since I've gone back to eating vegan. And I don't really have a regret, but if I were to have a regret in life, is this that I should have just, maintained eating all vegan and worked through. Yeah, I was being kind of, I could have given more effort and discipline and learned options, so I'm grateful now that just, be in a place now where I have that knowledge. I've been able to apply it to my running in my life. And I mean, it's just incredible that I can perform now 25 years later at the best of my running ever. And it's just remarkable to me that in a big part of that is the plant-based foods because it helps me to rejuvenate and recover so rapidly. I mean, it's a wild thing.
Yeah. And so what are you? Are you 44 now?
I'm 45.
45. Okay. 45. And you're like, you're really crushing it in the ultra endurance running world. Would you say that 2021 has been your best year to date?
Yeah, I would say it's been my best year to date. This year has been just crazy. I have every year I write down goals, and I tend to have a few running goals, and every one of my running goals I achieve. So that doesn't, and I usually dream pretty big, so it doesn't normally happen that way. But it was pretty amazing year and exciting.
Yeah, I'll say so. And so, like, officially, how long would you say that you've been running ultra distance runs?
Yes, since
a decade or more.
25 years.
You've been 25 years. Okay.
Yeah, I've been running ultras for 25 years.
Okay. And what's your definition of an ultra?
So an ultra is any distance further than a marathon.
Okay.
And so my first experience with the ultra was back in 1996. I did the Fans 24-hour race, and it's you basically repeat loops on a lake, and it's an endurance event where you see who can and how far you can go in 24 hours. I did like 81.25 miles, and my furthest 24-hour race actually back in 2019. Since I've been vegan, and it was a world championship in France. I ran 160.609 miles. So I almost doubled my original distance. And one of my goals in life is to eventually double that distance I ran the first time. To run, 162.5 miles. So eventually I have to do that.
What pace is 160 miles in 24 hours? Do you know?
Yeah, so it's 160 miles is like right at a 9-minute pace. So running, it's right under. It's like 8 minutes and 54 seconds or something like that.
Yeah,
you have to run slightly faster than that for calculating in your restroom stops and stretching once every hour and a half for 40 seconds. So
what's remarkable to me is that you've been doing ultras for 25 years, and at the age of 45, you're now kind of maybe, I don't know if stronger is the right word. Maybe it's you're smarter and you know your body so well. And I would imagine that ultras require just such a combination of pacing, nutrition, hydration, your crew, all those things. I mean, would you say that you've totally got that dialed in now? Or is it everything that now you just have, you've figured out how to link everything together?
Yeah, you hit it really well, because there are those key ingredients, and the ones you listed, and then you could come up with like another 6 or 7 are really pivotal. And it is the knowledge about those items, and also the nutrition really helps too. I mean, and then putting it all together. So it's pretty amazing that you can continuously grow across so many years in the sport. And yeah, I'd say definitely now I'm stronger than I was for sure when I was 20. Like, no doubt about it. Like, now I can even there's certain things you can continuously develop. Like right now I'm training for the Barkley race. So I've been doing more climbing than I've ever done outside of going for the Appalachian Trail record. And I mean, I noticed, like, even on my run to work this morning, like going up some hills, like I can go up them faster than I've ever in my whole life. Like, so it's like, I mean, I ran up the stairs this morning, like to my classroom. I'm on the 4th floor, and I'm like, God, I can't believe I can do that now, like without even like taking a deep breath or anything. Like, it's just like right up the stairs. But it's wild how you can impact your body. Like, I mean, through training, through like the things you need, like for the key ingredients, from the food, the sleep, nourishing your mind. There's so many things that you can impact yourself and continuously grow in. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you've been having a lot of fun for a lot of years, which to me, I think that a lot of our, people listening, a little bit, including myself, are like, oh my God. I mean, it sounds so absolutely punishing. It sounds sadomasochistic, whatever that term is. And it doesn't sound fun to me. It sounds kind of, borderline miserable. And I think about what you've, accomplished this year between, winning the Badwater 135, Big Dog's Backyard. You went for the Appalachian Trail record. And what happened there? I don't even know. What did you do there?
Yeah, that was actually 2018.
Okay.
And
got it.
I was going for the record. I finished with the 8th fastest time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's still pretty remarkable. But like, I just like, I just know from, being a professional triathlete back in the day. And when I would do my long, like 100-mile rides and 10-mile runs, I'd be a little bit gassed for, a couple of days. And the fact that you do one Badwater, and then a month later, you went and you did Big Dog's Backyard, 356 miles in 80 something hours. I mean, wow. I just can't imagine.
But it was wild. We actually had, I had 2 races in between Badwater and Biggs. So what happened was I did Badwater in July, and then there was like a 4 week, maybe 5 week, and I had a 24-hour race in Minnesota. The original one I did 25 years ago. And then after that, I did the Superior 100 race about 13 days later. And that was a good one too, because they had 20,000 feet of elevation gain. So both those races, it kind of helped with preparation for Biggs. And then Biggs was 5 weeks after the Superior 100. So there was a little bit of there was a real tight fit between the Superior 100 and the 24-hour race, but a little bit more time, not a lot of time. That's where it really helped with my nutrition, because it's kind of unusual to have something so tough then 5 weeks later, you have another tough end. It can be a little bit too close together. But I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to pull it off, but it came together, which was amazing. And, it's a good question you ask, and it can sound really masochistic. And really, number one is to find whatever's fun for you, So, I mean, it might be really fun to just go out and hike or go do a half marathon, and that's fantastic. But for me, there's a couple of things that it involves psychology, and not like I'm following in a formal sense. I don't have a coach. But I've just learned this over the years. And I always do something like, it's kind of like Pavlov and with psychology, and you like a reward system. So, that's a big deal. Like if I do some really tough workout this last, on Saturday and Sunday, I did some really tough workout. And so, you gotta have some amazing dinner or something you treat yourself to. You have something that you have lined up. For example, I'm doing Barkley in March, and basically I'm preparing to do a trip to the Cyprus after Barkley. So it's after either I survive or I don't survive at Barkley, but I'm going to have the reward of going to Cyprus following Barkley. So
yeah, so
it helps to have that positive association. So then you make a positive mental association with it. It's not just discomfort; you have a reward as well.
Yeah, but do you think over the last 25 years you've come to really relish that discomfort and just pushing yourself to the point of just total exhaustion? Is that something you feel like you need now?
Yeah, I do like that. Actually, I really do. It's it's kind of like the buffet always tastes amazing after you've been in the wilderness camping for a week. It's like having some level of lows creates the even larger highs. So having these moments, they're very there's a lot of things I get from them. I get reflection on life. I get to think about at a very deep level what's important to me in the world, and I get to be connected with nature. So that's a powerful thing. It's something I can't really. It's like a deeper level of meditation that I cannot achieve just in my daily life. I'm going to go about my day today. I will get nowhere close to where I get when I'm running in some ultra where I'm pushing myself like bad water, and I have this force against me. But while I'm having that force against me, it opens up streams of cognition that I don't normally have on a day-to-day basis. And it really opens up my thinking. Sometimes, I mean, it's not like I'm always in that deep level of thinking at every moment during the race, but it may be only moments, fleeting moments during that race. But it is, so there's something special about that I can't exactly pinpoint and express entirely, but there's something really special about that incredible challenge. And then also when you manage to achieve what your goal was, whether that is to finish at a faster pace or to win the race or whatever it may be, it's incredible to feel that.
Yeah. Well, I get exactly what you're talking about. I have never done ultras, but being an athlete my whole life and, wanting to be in tune with my body and being out in nature, and just, everything that comes with that, there's something very powerful there for sure. You've drawn upon it, in a big, powerful way. I got a jillion questions for you. So first, what is Barkley's? I don't know what Barkley's is.
You haven't heard of Barkley? No, I can't believe it. Oh, see, Well, it is a race run by the infamous Lazarus Lake. It happens in Frozen Head State Park, and it is a race with 40 runners. Basically, there's a great couple documentaries that are out now, and you can just Google Barkley Marathon. You'll see those. It's a somewhat secretive race, and it has a secretive process for the application to get in. It's nuts. Basically, it's the hardest trail race in the world because they've only had 15 finishers since 1985.
What?
And you have to, yeah, it's nuts. You have to cover it. You know, Laz has said it's 20-mile loops and you do 100 miles, but really it's probably like 135 miles or 130 miles. And then you have to cover 120 to 127,000 feet of elevation change in like 60 hours. And it's off course, like you're only on a trail a fraction of the time. The rest of the time you have to like figure out your own coordinates based on the map that Laz gives everyone to copy the night before. And it's wet oftentimes or foggy, and you're navigating at nighttime. You have to find the books. There's like 13 books in the woods, and you have to find them based on Laz's sometimes cryptic instructions.
Wow.
So, and you have a 60-minute time limit. So 60-hour time limit. So it's very difficult. Even if you have like many different skills, like it's a whole new set of skills that I have to develop. I have to work on navigation at nighttime when it's foggy. I have to figure out like the mapping, where to go. It's confusing. You have to like do this while you're really tired. So if I survive 2 or 3 or 4 laps, then I'll be doing this after going for two days straight, with just maybe 5-minute nap a couple times. And so it's really tough because you could make a couple, 1 or 2 errors, and it could cost you the whole race. So just a navigational error. You're sleepy and you're running down the embankment, like it's off trail. So you're running as fast as you can. Sometimes that is nuts. And you hit a stub or something like that, and you fall and break something, and you can be out of the race. So you really have so many things you have to be mastering at the same time and be extremely focused.
Well, I can see why that's the next challenge on your list for sure. Have you ever done it before?
No, I haven't actually.
So, and how
it
long?
was the prize for winning the Biggs backyard. So
really?
for winning Biggs, the winner of Biggs, they get an entry into the Barkley race because it is a very difficult to get into that race. So.
Wow. I would think with your credentials, you'd be one of the top 40 that would get in just by saying, "Hey, I'd like to do this race."
No, you have to. I mean, you can get on the wait list perhaps after if you're someone who's really accomplished, but it could still take you 3 or 4 years to get into the race. Yeah.
Is it televised or anything like that, or is there a?
No.
No.
It's like pretty much the most old school fashion race you can dream of. And Laz is a character and all the people associated. But there is, they will have some updates. Like the internet's not very good there. The reception's not good.
Right. Wow. That almost sounds like when I first did the Escape from Alcatraz triathlon in 1989, it was old school, and it's since become very commercialized and
right.
It's completely changed.
That would be fun.
Oh yeah, that was fun. The run back when I did that the first 2 years was the double dipsy from Muir Woods to Stenson Beach and back. It was 15-miler, 7.5 each way, which was cool.
That would be neat. Did you do it without a wetsuit?
No. I did it. It was 51 degrees. I wore a wetsuit.
Oh no, it is cold.
Oh yeah. Well, that's cold. That's cold, especially for 1.5 miles.
Right.
So tell me this. Out of all the races you've done, from Marathon to, how do you pronounce it? Sables?
Yeah, Marathon de Savos.
Marathon de Sables, Badwater, Ultra Gabi, Arrowhead. What was the most difficult?
Yeah, that's a great question, but I'm gonna give you
Yeah.
kind of a bad answer, I guess, because I think that they're all really difficult races. And it really depends on the person as well, because some people really love warm weather. And so if they do, Badwater might not be the toughest race for them.
Yeah.
But that person may really struggle in the Arrowhead 135. That's a really cold race in northern Minnesota, and you have to pull a sled. That was fun to do. I would say for me, I remember just tough elements of each of the races, but the Gobi Trail Ultra could be one of the toughest because that was in China and there was no course markings. Now that I'm preparing for Barkley, it doesn't seem as bad. So I would say that even though I haven't run Barkley yet, I would say Barkley is probably going to be the tough. It's just purely going to be the toughest because so few people finish. It's only 15 people have finished that race. So,
Wow.
if you only make it one or two loops at Barkley, that may not be physically, as tough, of course, as Badwater. But it's so tough in terms of just finishing, just completing that race, being out there on your own in the middle of the wilderness. There's no GPS tracker on your back. You have no idea where you are. So you gotta find your way back.
Man.
Yeah, but I do love the adventure of it, and there's so many challenging races. You could even say a mile race is a very challenging race because you feel that pain for a minute or whatever it is until you cross the finish line of the last 20%, 30% of your race, and it's that can be really tough.
Yeah. What about so you did Big Dog's Backyard recently, and you went 354 miles?
4 miles.
54.167. Yes. And is the reason you did so much, was there somebody else that was pushing you to where that's how many miles you had to do to win the event?
Yeah, so that's a whole nother format with ultras. There's all these little specializations you could get into, and the ultra backyard ultras have exploded. They're now in 60 some countries, and there's been over 13,000 people who run one. So with bigs, you have to do a 4.167 mile loop every hour, and so this amounts to 100 miles every 24 hours, and it's 11 hours on the trail and 13 hours on the road. So it doesn't give an advantage to someone who's a really strong trail runner, but not a very strong road runner, or vice versa. You have to be kind of versatile. And so with that race, it comes down to the final two runners, whoever the assist, that we call it the assist, the person who is the second to last person to go out. And once they go out, the final runner is only allowed to run one more loop. If they don't make that final loop, then no one wins the race and everyone's DNF.
What?
So, yeah, it's kind of wild. So, there was a lot of push this year. We had never been over 300 miles at Laz's property. Laz has a much more technical course than a lot of the other races in the world, and it has a good amount of elevation. So there was a Japanese runner, Mori, who was very competitive, and as well as the assist, Chris Roberts. They both were really focused. They did not want to give up.
Well, either did you.
I thought the race was going to go on forever. We'd still be out there running right now. But as I told Laz, I said, I think that no one's going to quit here. No one's going to submit, Laz. He said, eventually it will happen. So it did. But we got into a really strong mode after. It seemed like once we got up to 300 miles, We even had more energy at times than we had at the beginning of the race. So Maury and I, we started like really just hammering each other. We would start running up the hills that we were walking in day one. And Chris had gotten a bit of an injury in the second night, but miraculously he came back to life on the third day. Or was it the fourth day? Fourth day.
Yeah.
The fourth day. He came back to life on the fourth day. And it's amazing. He was running better the fourth day than he was earlier. So it's interesting how, the people can push through these barriers that you think that you can't make it through. And it's remarkable how far you can go. And a lot of it is the mind. Some of it is the body, but a lot of it is the mind.
Well, so what did you have a strategy going into Bigs as far as, okay, it's a 4-mile loop. Do I want to, go 40 minutes or 45 so I get 15 minutes rest and I'm not, going harder than I need to? I mean, what was your strategy?
Yeah, I had a lot of strategies. And definitely when it came to pacing, that was just to remain relaxed and having fun with what I was doing. So that was a really important element is staying relaxed. So like in order to do that, I had to run I ended up running at that particular race course like about a 54 second loop on the trail. And on the road, I think it was around 48 minutes. And I was pretty consistent. Like I probably came within a minute every single time, wow, minus a couple.
So you're getting a seven minutes off-road, 7 minutes rest, and around 12 when you're running on the road.
Yeah. And that was what fit me. Like it's different for everyone. And that worked for me on that particular course. But if it was a different course, I would have a different pacing element. And it just settled well with me. But I also like to throw curveballs and mess with other people. So I probably, if it was like down to the last few days, last day, I may, or, later in the race, I may do different things as well.
So are you able to, you were going for over 3 days. So into your fourth day, I don't think it's, I'm obviously could be wrong, humanly possible to go that long without sleep. Are you taking like 3 5-minute cat naps? And does somebody have to make sure you're like, you get up in time or?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I was really concerned about the sleep. I think going into Bigs, I was most concerned about the sleep. The year prior, Courtney I was the assist to Courtney Dauwalter, and she's a phenomenal runner, great person, fun to run with. But I noticed that like the sleep element was probably impacting me more the year before, or at least the psychology around the sleep element. So I did a lot of reading on sleep, and actually the record for sleep deprivation is like really long. So I was like, well, yeah, because I was thinking the same thing as you. And going back into like the 60s, people were like experimenting with sleep deprivation. They got like 11, 12 days, more than that. It's not recommended.
No, it's not.
But so that told me that, yeah, we can survive. And I didn't know like the people that did that sleep deprivation study, they did not like do that under physical distress. So just getting those little cat naps, like 3 to 5 minutes, it was powerful. And I'd aim to do that every hour in the nighttime. But to be honest with you, I'm not really sure how much I actually fell asleep. Like I honestly, like just laying there with your eyes shut has an impact on the human body.
Yeah. Now, are you lying there with your eyes shut, with your feet up in the air to try and, get?
Yeah, that would be good. I didn't have them too elevated. Like I was in a cot. So, but elevating your feet is always a great idea, whether it's training or during a race, if you can. I actually took my shoes off every lap. So even like just for like that 4 or 5 minutes, I found like I hadn't done that in previous years. But like taking my shoes off actually helped my body to rest and get to that place where I could fall asleep easier.
What are you doing for nutrition for, almost 4 days?
So the nutrition is to eat as many calories as humanly possible. Like that is the number one thing. So it doesn't matter so much about whether they're carbohydrates or proteins. Although it would be better to get more complex carbohydrates and simple sugars when you're thinking about the longevity of it. So I wouldn't like dare want to just rely solely on like gels and things like that. Like actually getting like soups and vegan mac and cheese and sandwiches with different like with avocados and lentils.
Yeah.
I mean, I would eat like a lot of unhealthy things, like if you're to eat them on a daily basis,
Sure.
like chips, but you just look at like how many calories potato chips have. And so I would also have like squeezable fruits, dried fruits, just a lot of variety. Burritos, it wasn't like I drank a lot of coconut water and Tailwind. And there wasn't like just one specific thing. Mashed potatoes, vegan mashed potatoes, and vegetable broth mixed together. That's so good. Yeah, but I would eat like anything that my crew chief Judd would provide. Like, and we would try to eat something that was like more solid like that at least every couple hours. Because I could eat like snacks like chips or fruits and things like that, but to get something that's kind of warm and more hearty like that was better for me to get every 2 or 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that your nutrition strategy for Big Dog's Backyard was different than like Badwater or
Oh yeah, definitely. So and I would say that I think my nutrition was the best of all the runners there. Like it was. I mean, I think it was amongst the best, and that's why I survived the longest. Because I was able to eat. I think I pretty much out ate everybody. I mean, I'm not trying to brag here, but I think I pretty much out ate everybody in terms of like the calories and the content. And, I mean, I kind of observed everyone else. And I think a lot of people were trying to do the same, but across the whole duration of 85 hours, I think that I ate a small city of food. And it really helped me to digest that food. I didn't get sick at all. That whole race, I didn't get sick at all, like eating all that food. I mean, I ate an unbelievable number of calories. But that helped me to survive and to feel pretty good at the end of the race because I was able to eat like that. It matters. Now, Badwater, I focus, it's so hot, it's over 120 degrees. So it's hard to eat like anything that is like a solid format. So I could have for sure, Tailwind and gels and, fruit, but it's difficult. Mashed potatoes and gravy. Anything I would eat would have to be easy to dissolve in Badwater. And sometimes you can't eat larger portions. So like at Biggs, I had these like muffins from Abe's or something like that. Abe's muffins. I mean, I ate like half of a package of that, like at one time, like 6 of them. I think that's like 700 calories or something like that at one time.
More than that.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of calories. And so I would never do that in Badwater. I might eat like one of them at a time in Badwater, and I probably only could eat 2, and I'd have to rotate. So diversity also matters. A lot of people can't handle diversity. Like they really have like 4 things they can eat, or it messes with their mind, or it's just they have a negative association with it. But for me, I actually had probably at Biggs like 28 items. Like I was eating like 28 different things. And in Badwater, I have Tailwind is my number 1 drink, but I have like 12 or 15 different drinks. Like it sounds crazy, but it works for me. And I never drink water. I only drink drinks with calories because I'm trying to like energize myself along the endurance event.
Wow. Are you So when you're drinking drinks that aren't just water, are you worried at all about the percentage of like how dilute it is so it doesn't jack with your stomach and you can absorb it all properly? And
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about is how much it has in terms of electrolytes.
Yeah.
So at Biggs, I wouldn't be quite as worried because it's not so hot. But in bad water, like I would want it to be at least half and half. Like half of my drinks have to have electrolytes. If I'm relying only on like, Coca-Cola and, Dr. Pepper and root beer, those drinks don't have any electrolytes in them. So if I only drank those drinks, eventually my engine would crash.
Those are good.
And so at bad water,
drinks.
I'm like, my team knows that I have to have half of my drinks roughly estimated to be electrolyte drinks. So like Tailwind, or even coconut water has some electrolytes in it. But half of my drinks have to have electrolytes. I can't just rely on, only. And at Biggs, it also factors in. But in terms of dilution, I like drinks to be like sweet and strong. Like, so I don't like drinks that are like, half water or like more watered down. I don't like that so much. It's something that probably people have to adjust into, and I've trained myself to do that over years. So I could literally eat like a giant burrito from Chipotle and like a giant thing of like Tailwind, and then just go do a 5K as fast as humanly possible, and I probably won't get sick. Like I won't. In an ultra, I would definitely not get sick.
That's
like even like running a 5K as fast as I humanly can. After eating that stuff, I don't get sick. But I've trained myself for that. Like that's one of the like 12 or 15 like pillars of ultra running, like the ingredients that you have to train yourself on, and that's like conditioning yourself to be able to absorb nutrition is huge.
So if you always can, I mean, at what point were you like, you know what, I'm pretty good at this and I like winning and I'm a fierce competitor? I mean, is that something that, you just kind of grew into, or has it always been like part of who you are?
It's like I have both sides, because with the sport, I like absolutely admire anyone that's willing to go out there and finish in the back of the pack, because that's amazing. I mean, I was that person. I did that for years. So I absolutely admire that so much. To me, like participating in our sport is the number one thing. So my number one goal in every race is always to finish a race, even if that means finishing last. And if I ever finish a race last, that might be the race that is most meaningful to me, because it took the most conviction to get there to finish last. But there was a bit of a transition. I say it kind of happened after I broke my neck. So I broke my neck in 2004, and that like really also impacted my mindset. And so it just gave me a higher level of drive to want to go out and chase after my best. And I love the competitive element. So races like Badwater, and like at Biggs especially, where you have all of these runners just coming together, it's really fun to go out there and like to come as an underdog and to achieve higher than you thought you ever could achieve before.
What? How did you break your neck?
It was a bad car wreck. There was a car that spun out in front of me, and I went off the road to avoid hitting them. My car rolled over multiple times, and then I didn't know my neck was broken. I managed to climb out of the vehicle. It took me some effort because I couldn't break the glass very easily, and I ended up like getting to the hospital, and they thought everything was fine at first because I was calm and comfortable, but then they did the X-rays, and it turned out that I had broke my fourth and fifth vertebrae. So I have like surgery. It had an extra bone added and some titanium. And it's amazing the world we live in today, where we can be have some sort of medical treatment like that can enable us to continue on. So I mean, I was looking at for a time the night of the accident where maybe I could die or I could be paralyzed forever. And so that having the opportunity to still run and enjoy life with being able to move was something that's indescribable. So I just can't, give up that opportunity.
Yeah. Feel how fortunate you were to make it through that.
Yeah. So like, it was such a good thing I broke my neck. I mean, I would definitely, it's not that I wish to go out and break anything else right now, but breaking my neck was a really powerful experience to like have life almost taken from you and then have another lease on life. It's just a super powerful thing that I may take for granted today, but just when I think about that, it just makes me want to, live life to the fullest.
Yeah. So you mentioned, you have such admiration for anyone that toes the starting line at any of these events. And you really admire, for example, the people that come in last. You've done, correct me if I'm wrong, you've done Badwater 10 times. Is that correct?
Yeah. 10 times.
10 times. And you had one year where something happened after a couple miles and you walked like the last 85, 90 miles. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, that was the year of the Appalachian Trail. So my father and I, we set out on this journey, 2,190 miles. And I had like a little time frame to work with because I teach high school. It goes until the end of May. And I knew Badwater, I've got a tradition of going out there and making an annual pilgrimage of running Badwater around mid-July. So I had a little time to work from, finished Appalachian Trail with 5 days before the Badwater race. And so I wasn't really sure if I'd be able to finish Badwater because that AT beat me up so bad. I mean, imagine falling over 100 times, covering 43 miles a day. You're basically covering the elevation of Everest every 3 days. So it just beats you up so badly. It took me about a year to get fully back to 100%. But at 1 year, hard at it. But the Badwater race was 5 days after me finishing that. So I had to drive home with our work truck, fly out west, get all the arrangements together. During this time, I'm only running like 1 mile a day to keep my run streak alive. And when I'd run that 1 mile, I'd be like, man, I'm tired. This 1 mile, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do 135 miles. So getting to the race, I did run the first, I think about 42 miles, which I was surprised that it felt as good as it did. Although once I got to mile 41, 42, I felt like this, like pull on my groin, and I thought I was going to break. So I had to walk the whole rest of the way, about 93 miles. And it was a unique experience. I hadn't run or walked like that far my whole life. But at finish, and that was really the best like experience to just finish. And even if I was like, I wasn't the last runner, but just finishing was something special for sure.
What year was that?
That was 2018.
18. So you won it in 2014. You won it in 2021. You got a 7-year gap between, wins there. That's wild. And there's probably so much that can happen over those 135 miles that sets you up for that win or your second or third. And you've got to probably have just a great race, and everybody else's race probably has to maybe not be kind of perfect.
Yeah, it was wild. All right. It was wild. And I mean, really, Badwater is tough to have a perfect race in that race. I mean, there's a lot of different elements that push on you. I mean, it's 120 degrees. So this last year was just, it was a dream of mine. One of my goals I had wrote out at the start of the year to win Badwater and to win Bigs. And it was incredible to have it happen. I mean, just, it was really a large part was my team. Also, I had an amazing team that helped and supported me out there as crew members. And we take on like the energy of our team members. And it's really important to have that positive energy, but it's something super, super strong. Another one of those categories that helps to push you upward.
Well, and just for the listeners that don't really know, Badwaters, you start in Death Valley, right? And you climb over 17,000 feet and you go over 3 mountain passes. You finish on Mount Whitney. Wow. Incredible. And
it's a beautiful place. Like that's why I like returning. I like to do a few new races every year.
Yeah.
I also like to do a few of the races I repeat every year. And Badwater is one I plan to do until I can no longer run. I plan to do it forever. So I'm not planning to stop that anytime soon. And, it was a really wild experience this year on the second mountain. We'll go back, like the first 40 miles were very windy this year. And there was a strong headwind. I was in second place all throughout the first half of the race, but the leader was continuously moving ahead of me. So I think he was at like about 40 minutes ahead of me. On the second mountain, I felt terrible. And I got to the next checkpoint and I saw that the leader actually didn't gain on me, even though I was going much slower than I typically go. It actually motivated me because I was like, I knew that he's also struggling.
Yeah.
So I was able to really turn it around mentally and to chase him down. And but it was wild the race did not happen with me feeling amazing the whole way. Like I actually felt rough myself. So to have like a situation where you're not feeling your best, but then you can pull it together, that made it even sweeter. Like to have the finish that we did and to have adversity in the midst of it, where you have to really pull it together mentally and also like pull things back together, even though you're not feeling your strongest. Like that's what made it even more special.
All right. We'll get back to Harvey in a sec, but first I'd like to take a minute to read an email from one of our community members who has found success with the power of plants. This letter is from Bud. Rip, I wanted to say thanks. Thanks for helping me save my own life and lose 50 pounds. Today marks 3 years of 100% plant-based eating with fantastic results. My wife and I saw you talk at the Whole Foods in Naples, Florida in January 2019, and since then, both of us have been 100% plant-based. I had a slightly high cardiac calcium score and wanted to do something about it. This lifestyle has lowered all my blood levels enough to where I don't have to take a statin anymore. I've also lost 35 pounds in the last 18 months and have been able to keep it off ever since. Thank you. You are really providing a needed service. Well, Bud, I want to thank you for sharing your success because your ongoing success and health is the real service and the best way of paying it forward for you and for your family. So thank you for sharing. And don't forget, anyone can join our free community at community.plantstrong.com, where inspiration awaits. Speaking of inspiration, let's get back to Harvey Lewis. So you've done Badwaters 10 years. Did you ever compete against Goggins or Scott?
Yeah. Scott Jurek, he actually did 2 years of Badwater. Yeah. And he actually won both those years as well. But that was back in 2006 and 2007, I believe.
Okay.
So my first Badwater was 2011.
Got it.
Goggins, also I've run with Goggins and Badwater. the year he wrote in his book, it's a great book. He wrote about the 2014 Badwater, and he ended up having some difficulty and having to drop out after the first mountain on that one. That's the one where I won the race. But I remember having a couple of exchanges with David. He's definitely a character, and yeah, I love his book, and what he's done to inspire people is amazing, because I know he's brought a lot of people into the sport that had no idea of it or had no interest in that, and so he's elevated the sport, I feel like, and so I admire what he's done.
Yeah. You mentioned your running streak. You've kept it alive, even when you have to do 1 mile. How long is your running streak?
Right now it's at like 2 years, and maybe a month. So it's building back. I almost had it to 5 years, and then I got a bit of a Achilles pull at the 2019 24-hour World Championship. So I mean, it's incredible. There's people that have streaks for like 40 years plus. So it's amazing. But I do enjoy it. I going back in time where I was a younger person, I think I thought that was kind of crazy, or why would someone want to do that? But for me to go like, if you saw my calendar, you'd be like, oh my God, Harvey, what are you doing? I got so many things on there with runs. I mean, I don't just run once a day. I normally run twice a day. A lot of days I run 3 times a day. And so, because I'm always running back and forth to work, I've got that streak is like going on 8 years. But for me to go run, like, if I do my, like a little day, small day is like maybe only 8 miles. Like to me, that's almost like a day off. Like, because I'm just running like easy. I'm running a couple of times in a day, and it's just easy. I'm not like running fast. It's like kind of like walking. So then I have my other days that like I'll do more miles or do more intensity. But so it's not like every day is a hard day. Like yeah. That might not make sense to you. Totally. No. But
no, totally.
It might sound. Hearing myself say it, it sounds like it does sound a little silly. Nah. Ridiculous, but
do you even own a car?
I do actually have a vehicle, and my fiance lives in Circleville, so I actually live between 2 different cities, so I have to commute there. I have run there before. It's 104 miles, but it's a lot easier to drive. Otherwise, my whole weekend would be consumed with just running to see my fiance or running home every weekend.
Is she a runner?
She is. Yeah. Unfortunately, Kelly puts up with me.
Wow. So did you meet her at one of the like events, or?
Yes, I actually did meet her at a 24-hour race where we were both stuck on the same loop. So she couldn't run away from me.
Wow.
I got to really talk to her. I'd run with her for a while, then I'd like speed up and do a few laps, catch back up with her. And it was motivation to keep me moving faster.
Is she also plant-based?
She is like 95%. So she has, she eats cheese pizza when she wants to,
right?
Once a week or something, but she's really changed her eating habits, like as well. I mean, she was like very traditional American diet, and she's also found an impact with eating like more plant-based foods, and she's an amazing chef. She makes like incredible stuff. Like I love it.
That's awesome. So you live in Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
And how long have you been teaching, and what do you teach?
Yeah, so I teach financial literacy and American government at the School for Performing Arts. It's a public arts school. It's K through 12. We're closing in our 50-year celebration.
Wow.
It's a really neat school because it's very diverse. We have students coming from all different backgrounds across greater Cincinnati. So we have a very diverse population and a really amazing group. Like they're really interested in their particular major, whether that be ballet or musical theater, like vocal, creative writing. So it's a neat environment, and I get a lot of positive energy from my students that I like then take it to the ultras.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, I think that some of that mindset I've been able to gain also from my students.
Do they realize what a running stud you are?
I don't know about that. I don't know if I say my students. We have a lot of fun with it. Like today we did push-ups in second bell. And I had another student. He comes in, does push-ups when he's a senior, so he comes in like on a whim and say, "All right, usually once a day or every other day. So it's ready for our push-up time. Let's go."
Wow.
So, and then on the run to work, I'll see some of my students will join me, run a little ways. Yeah, so they do know I'm into the running thing, but I do try to I try not to be overbearing at all, but I just try to be there as a role model, and then like as a resource if they have questions. I would like to. We have had the vegetarian club in the past, but due to COVID, we have not had that now. So having the vegetarian club gives me a little opportunity to speak about nutrition, and otherwise I really don't speak about that much. I do have one lesson. I talk about health in terms of financial literacy and its impact on our financial health. But I'm kind of just, I try to not be overbearing.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a really smart approach. And I can't imagine how much some of the other teachers, must respect you and, be in awe of you and feel really lucky that, you're teaching at this school and, and the positive energy and influence that you have really on the whole school community. That's pretty remarkable.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Honestly, our school is a really neat place, and like every teacher here, I think brings their own special dynamic that adds to the whole picture. So I definitely don't feel like I'm bringing any additional beyond like each other person here. Like I think they all bring something that's powerful, but it's a really neat career to be in teaching or to be a teacher. And it's nice, it's really powerful, like especially with my group I have. Like, I mean, I get a lot of, like for the race bigs, for example, I had my students write out if they wanted to. I didn't say you had to. They had note cards. They could make a message for me. And so Judd, my chief, when I was going through like difficult parts of the race, he could hand me one of these note cards and I would read it. And I really, it really empowered me through that lap. I mean, there's no way I'm going to be stopping. I want my students saying something positive. Like that's just fuel the fire for sure. So, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a dual relationship in terms of like, I'm getting a lot from my students as well as giving.
Yeah. Nice. So it seems to me that you also have a passion for different causes in your life. And I know that back in 2008, for example, you retraced Gandhi's salt march.
Yeah.
241 miles or something like that.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that and why you did that.
Yeah. So I love connecting to history and being able to share that with my students. And also I've intrigued for, historical figures. Gandhi going to India, like my cousin and his girlfriend at the time, we were going to India, and we came up with this idea, well, let's retrace Gandhi's footsteps. And so it started in the Gandhi ashram in Ahmedabad. It was 241 miles to Dundee. It was a crazy adventure because I didn't have a support crew. In fact, my cousin and his girlfriend, they broke up on the second day and they ended up going off on their own, like on their bikes.
Yeah.
So I was running through India with just a backpack with like 10 items because that's what Gandhi always had. And so I thought, okay, I'm gonna actually simulate this experience. I'm going to have like 10 items. And so it was challenging because of so many reasons, but the congestion, like there's more congestion than there is like open space in that area of the world. And there was a lot of challenges with the pollution in like the different cities. Like it would just that was probably one of I didn't think of it as being a challenge going into it, but that was really difficult surviving the pollution.
Wow.
The people were extraordinary. They would give me everything I asked. Like, I mean, I wouldn't ask for anything and they'd give me everything they had. So, I mean, the people were just amazing. I had the Times of India following me every day in different journalists. So they would publish every day updates. And so along the journey, about every 2 or 3 trucks would just be honking at me and waving. So everyone knew what I was doing at that point. I go through like Muslim communities and Hindu communities. And at the end, I met up with a school of deaf and blind children. And the principal had the students finish the last mile with me, which was something is just like mind blowing.
Wow.
Getting to meet the kids and the people there.
Now, so how long did it take you to do that?
It took me 10 days. Yeah. So I wasn't as strong of an athlete back then. And I didn't know some of the things I know today. So I absolutely destroyed my feet. I had the worst blisters of my life, like blisters on top of blisters on top of blisters. And it was like filthy. I mean, I ended up like coming back to America. I ended up getting like a staph infection, like in my leg, like not even, it was like 2 months later or something like that. And I got like sty in my eye. I remember like I had things that would like hit me like 3-4 months later from that journey, just because I brutalized my body so much to survive. It was tough. I had to actually get bamboo sticks to make it because my feet were just so like blistered from the heat. It was a very hot environment and very like humid environment. So you're talking like close to 100 degrees. It was the summertime and it was humid, like very high humidity. So I learned a lot, and I didn't have electrolytes. I drank a lot of like soda and just whatever was available. So that was problematic too. I learned a lot in that journey.
Well, it sounds like that was one of your most difficult races.
Yeah. It really was. It was very difficult.
Oh my gosh. So it gave you a ton of respect for Gandhi and doing that, huh? Wow.
Absolutely. I mean, it's amazing just to imagine how he captivated millions of people. But that journey was not easy as well.
Yeah.
20, a little bit over 20 days. So, and it was March, but it's still like, it's a journey. It's a journey nevertheless. And to do something like that, to draw upon like, to bring media attention and to embody the movement he was creating, that was really interesting to see.
What, you mentioned blisters, getting really bad blisters. What advice would you give to people as far as, running, socks, shoes, so that they don't get blisters?
Yeah. A big thing that I learned is to I put squirrel nut butter on my feet before I put my socks on. And it's not like tons of it, but I just like put that over like a little layer. Mm-hmm. And then I put my socks on. And that was a huge jump forward to like learn that. And it's kind of interesting. I think maybe your running form could impact you too. I wear Newtons, which happen to be all vegan. They're a small little company out of Boulder, but I've been wearing them for like 11 years. And I noticed sometimes when I'm running, like only a couple of times I notice in a year, like if I'm like running on a trail that has an embankment, notice like my foot positioning, I have to adjust it slightly just because I'm starting maybe build up a blister. But the Newtons really helped me because I have a very efficient stride. So I don't really get the type of blisters that I used to get. But I think that, you want to have not maybe tie your shoes looser when you're doing a longer event. So if I'm running something over 50K, I'm actually my shoes are much looser and I don't tie them as tight. If I'm running a 5K, my shoes are really tight. And I'm just all about being able to turn and move as fast as possible. But in a longer race, you actually don't want your shoes tight. You want them rather loose. Not too loose, but
right.
Rather, just right.
Do you almost want to have your shoe to take, for example, when you're running Death Valley in the heat, do you almost want to have a half a size bigger to accommodate?
Some people do that. I don't do that because I think it could affect your form. And with the Newtons, I just have it they're already not snug against my feet. I wear a size 12 always. And if I wore 11 and a half, that would definitely feel too tight. But if I wore 12 and a half, I did that for the Appalachian Trail. I think come to think of it, I think I may have had one pair that was 12 and a half because my feet were swelling a little bit. But I don't think I think I always just not to get too large. But I know people do that for 6-day races. They'll often do that. I think it could affect your form, which could create other types of problems for your body. Fortunately, I've been able to also stay injury free, knock on wood, for all this time, more or less. I mean, even right now, I don't feel a single issue on my body, which is amazing. That's nuts. Yeah. I have Mr. Miyagi. I did go see Mr. Miyagi 2 days ago or yesterday. So he does help things, but it's kind of wild.
Well, I can't wait to look you up and look at your form, because you definitely you're doing a lot of things right. And
it might not be that good later in the race. It's not bad. I know my weaknesses. I have a tendency that my arms kind of move up a little bit more when I'm running. But see, it's you have to do the check on yourself and be am I doing that? And then I am doing that. It relax my shoulders. I have we all as runners, we tend to tighten up a little bit when we're running. So when I'm pacing a marathon, I'll say to my marathon group, make sure you relax your shoulders, relax your breathing. The more relaxed you are, the faster you are.
So you have a marathon group?
No, I paced marathons for Cliff Bar for about 8 years. And then I still pace the Flying Pig Marathon every year. I really get a lot of joy out of that. I enjoy helping others to reach their personal best times. Nice. So it's fun for me to run a pacing time and have a group of people with me and just talk them through the race, and then also give them motivation as we're going through the race and try to help them to get their fastest possible time. Yeah.
Are you able to make money running, or is this just purely a life's passion?
It's more of a life's passion, but I do have a small business. I take people in the summertime to Portugal with Run Quest Travel, and so for me, it's not my main career is of course teaching. I've gotten some assistance from my sponsors for adventures, but it's pretty much going to the adventure. And I really don't. I'm happy with my lifestyle, so I don't really need any more things. So it's kind of true. I don't really need. I'd rather be more of a minimalist. Yeah. And for me, it wouldn't be. I wouldn't mind if some company says, okay, we're going to give you all the coconut water in the world, and we're going to offer you a salary for that, or a sponsorship for that covers all your costs. But I still plan to teach. So even if I had that, I would still plan to teach because I enjoy the experience of teaching.
Tell me who are some of your sponsors that help you out?
Well, Newton is a sponsor. I've been with them for 11 years. Also, 2-time Jew. They're a sponsor. I love the gear. Tailwind is also squirrel nut butter, road ID. So I have these. This is really nice to have. It's got my information, so if anything ever happens to me, someone can see this. They can get in contact with my significant other. And the road ID is actually really nice. This is the Dream Big band, and it's kind of modeled after Death Valley. We did this for scholarship for my students. So a portion of sales went to that scholarship. And I think we raised maybe $2,500 this year for that. So we're going to repeat that. We'll do 1 or 2 Dream Big bands each year.
Nice.
So that's exciting. So that's pretty much my sponsor. So but again, it's more like, for me, it's just running is a passion. And even if I had, nothing, like, I get everything I get is just by doing the sport, the people I interact with. We have an amazing community in ultra running, the places I see. Just getting out in nature.
Yeah.
It's an incredible experience.
Yeah. Well, I can tell that you feel very blessed with running and what it's given you. And you could, I remember, I think it was Lance Armstrong back, after he had beaten cancer, and just saying, he would be happy in a tent just as long as he could continue to ride his bike. And, there's something to, less is more, being minimalistic and just being happy, with the basics and being able to move your body, right, in a way you love.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing better. So is your father also running? You mentioned that he took part in the Appalachian Trail. Was he supporting you?
Yeah, he was my support crew. I couldn't have done it without him. In fact, he drove this old Ford van across the whole Appalachian Trail and provided me with gear whenever we could intercept, wherever he could intercept me. Sometimes it was every 12 miles, every 15 miles. In Maine wilderness, it was further gaps.
Yeah.
But it was really a chance of a lifetime to be able to spend that time with my father. And we ended up, Road ID actually produced a film called Like Harvey, Like Son, which is really about the story of our journey together and the relationship we have with one another, as much as it is about the nature of the AT and the challenge of making that journey. And right now, we're hoping for it will make it to a streaming service. It kind of got bumped by the whole COVID because it was originally aligned to open in theaters starting out west in Hollywood in April of 2020. And so with COVID hitting, it was reduced to I think maybe 70 or 90 theaters in the country. And attendance was down to 15%, So it didn't get that initial, push. But you can, if anyone's interested, they can go on Facebook and search Like Harvey, Like Son. It won about 11. It won 11 different awards for the documentary, for competitions.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did that come to life? As far as, did somebody approach you saying, "Hey, I want to do a documentary about, your Appalachian Trail with your father"? Or
that was an interesting story. So actually, there's the director, Rudy Harris. He has a business where he does commercials for companies, and he was doing a commercial for Road ID that I was involved in down in Kentucky. We were running on this beautiful area called the Gorge, and it had some amazing shots and fun with it. With this, And I said, hey, I've got this adventure plan this summer. I'm not sure I can tell you guys, but I'd love to have you there. And I ended up telling him, and he worked it out with Road ID, and it was really a challenge for them to shoot this because they came out 4 different times, and like trying to get up on the trail is really difficult. I mean, it's like, this is most of the trail is very technical. It's not like just a normal trail with dirt. I mean, there's a lot of very technical areas. And so it's tough to get the equipment in there. And I think it was something that they had no idea what they were getting themselves into. But once they got into it, they loved it. So it was a lot of fun. They were a great group of people. It was a small group, but usually they come out with like maybe 4 or 5 people and be shooting. And they weren't there the whole time. They came out like 3 or 4 different times. And I had a blast with them. So I mean, and ultimately, no matter what, it's really meaningful to me because I have a film with my father. So I'll always be able to look back and see that and capture that experience. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, what a great keepsake. Now I know from the documentary, The Game Changers. I don't know if you've ever seen The Game Changers.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, and just hearing from Louis Sahoyas, the director, how challenging it was getting some of that footage of Scott Jurek when he got the record. Was that 2017 that Scott did that?
He got the record in I think 2015.
15. Okay.
Yeah, 2015 or 2016.
Yeah.
And then it's impressive that they got that footage.
Yeah, it as you probably know, it chewed Scott up pretty badly, and he went north. Did you go north to south?
I went north as well.
You did.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, is that your first time trying it?
It was my first time. Yeah.
Wow.
And that made it tough. So Scott was smart that he went out there with Carl, his friend, and had been out there before. So he had he had some more exposure in seeing someone else do it, which is helpful. I think before I went out to it, I had no conception of what the Appalachian Trail really was. Yeah. I mean, to me, I thought it just seemed like it was going to be so much easier than it actually was. I envisioned the trails we have in Ohio, like there are dirt trails without that many rocks and roots. And then I got to like Pennsylvania, and I'm just like, there's 80 miles of just rocks that are all different like sizes. It's just nuts. Yeah. And so, and there's a lot more climbing. I mean, 10,000 feet a day, that's a lot of climbing when you're running like 50-mile days. So like the first 3 weeks I was running 50-mile days, and I had like a rough stretch in the White Mountains where I was doing significantly lower. Yeah. But when you're running like 50 miles a day and you're covering 10,000 feet, it's like to run 50 miles on a road, that would be pretty hard. It wouldn't be that hard, but to add like it's on a technical trail and then to add 10,000 feet of climbing, it's really rough on your body.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. I mean, I learned a lot. Like if I were to go back and do it again, I would do things differently. Like I would have started with poles. I didn't start using poles until like the last half of the event. I should have started off by using poles and training with poles because that puts less pressure on your body. That would be one thing I would do differently. I would probably not push as hard when I'm feeling tired, and I would like pace myself better and not be so like laser focused that we must reach this amount today, because some days maybe it's better to go slightly less. Yeah. And then the other thing, I became over dependent on the vehicle. Uh-huh. So what I meant by that is that the vehicle would be positioned. We could only get it like in some places every 10 or 12 miles. So maybe if I finished at 8:30 at one point, if I were to go the next 10 or 12 miles to get to the next point, it might be 11 o'clock. Yeah. So I had to choose between, do I want to stop at 8:30 or do I want to stop at 11? And neither of those are great times. It would be better for me to maybe stop at 9:45 or 10 o'clock. So I had to it would be better if I slept more on the trail, but I found a way to do that comfortably. Like I just didn't have a system that was very good for sleeping. I slept out in the woods, but I'd have to transition myself.
Did you have a difficulty with ticks at all and rain?
No, ticks. I only had 2 ticks on me, I think, the whole trip.
That's incredible.
That's it. I know. I don't know if it's they don't like the food I eat or what. But the rain was crazy. We have a trailer that you could pull up, and it's got myself and my friend Greg Armstrong running across this metal bridge near Harper's Ferry, and there's just the rain is coming down like we're in the middle of a monsoon, and there's lightning and everything like that. And it's really kind of a fun trailer if you get the chance to check it out. I mean, it's in the film as well.
Yeah. That's really cool. So when you're running, when you're doing these races, when you're training, do you like listening to music or do you not? Do you find that's a distraction?
Yeah. So everything I do is simulating the environment of the race typically. And so I really like listening to music, especially I never take any painkillers whatsoever. I mean, if I had to have a surgery or something, I would, but I never take any painkillers. And so for ultras, if I'm feeling really discomfort, also I can listen to music because it just kind of enables me to put my mind somewhere else, to dissociate myself from that discomfort, and it goes away. So it's kind of wild how you can do that. But I also listen to music just to get inspired and also just keep yourself motivated. For the Barkley race, it's not really a good idea to have music. I don't think I'm not sure we can have music out there, but you can't have the music out there, I don't think. So I'm trying to train now without using much music at all, just because of that. Just be out there in the element, be in the woods, in the dark, nobody there, and just the sound of nature. That's it, just to prepare.
Yeah. Are you finding it hard to run now without your music or whatever? Is it a bit of a transition?
Yeah, I mean, it is a little, everything about Barkley is very difficult. So I would say that, but I'll only say it now. Once I get closer, a couple months away, I don't say anything like that. I won't acknowledge it, but it's very difficult. And also it makes me a little nervous. So I've got a little bit of anticipation, little fear, little anxiety. But that's a good thing because it sharpens our willpower to prepare, and it also makes me take it seriously. So I like the fact I don't usually get nervous about races. I mean, even if there's a lot on the line, it's like a world championship race. I don't usually get that nervous or for Badwater now. But Barkley makes me a little nervous, which is good. It's good to find things that make you nervous still, because I find that it also is motivating me like crazy to train because I'm a little nervous.
That's good.
Gotta get out there.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you for Barkley's. That's going to be quite an event. And then you said that's March?
It's in the winter time. I mean, spring, winter, somewhere around there, March, April. Oh, it's around that. Yeah, it's in that vicinity, March, April.
They don't have the date nailed down yet?
Well, they do. We just can't say.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I got you.
Yeah, it's all part of the whole mystique behind the race.
Okay. All right, I got it. Part of the magic. So I was right before I joined you today. Somebody that I work with, when they found out I was interviewing you today, she said, "Will you ask Harvey after he does a race and he puts it all out there, what does he leave behind? Does he leave something behind, or do you feel like you're gaining something?" Because it to me, and obviously to her, it's like when you go that hard, go for the Appalachian Trail, do the Badwater, the Gobi. are you like somehow like whittling away at your lifeblood, or no, you don't look at it like that at all?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, it's I never feel like I'm leaving something behind, really. I feel like it's I treasure experiences more and relationships, and those events, they are incredible experiences that I'll remember forever, I hope. And also, like, it adds, like, winning bigs was just such an incredible experience, because it was it's very improbable. Like, I mean, in both bigs and Badwater this year, I mean, I just felt so elated. Like, I mean, it's I'm still feel the fire from it. Like, I mean, I still feel that excitement. So it inspires me for, everything that's possible. So, I mean, I understand that I am, like, at 45, most people would say, well, Harvey, you probably just about overdone it now. but I kind of feel like I may be giving some hell, like, in the backyard ultra for a long time to come. That's so awesome. I hope to be like that guy that's out there at 60 that's like, why does he just stop?
Well, that's really
giving us a hard time at 60, and he should just quit.
I find it fascinating that you've been doing it 25 years and you're still going stronger than ever, because, there's that saying, the light that burns twice as bright burns half as long. And, I know, some people that have done ultra tries, they've done, they specialize in the Ironman distance triathlon. And typically you've got a shelf life of, maybe 5 to 10 years where you can really perform. And then the body typically gives out,
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me how long you've been going. And then I also remember, I think it was reading the book by Christopher McDougall.
Oh yeah, I love that book.
What was it called? Can you remember?
Yes, I love his book too. Born to Run.
Yeah, that's right. Born to Run. But where he talked about, the Leadville, they brought those Tarahumara Indians, and that one year, a 55-year-old Indian, won that 100-mile race. So to me, there are some definite anomalies out there, and I love what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I love your longevity. I love
Thank you so much.
Stronger. Your positivity. It is awesome.
I hear, like, what you're saying, and actually it's something I take seriously. So, I really, like, focus in on things that will, like, heal my body. So I definitely focus in on the nutrition. I visit Mr. Miyagi with the ART, and I also value, like, sleep and listening to my body. So if I feel like something, I ease up. And I have amazing role models. Like, my buddy's in Cincinnati. He's 99.8 years young. So, I mean, he is all plant-based, Mike Fremont, and he still runs 5 miles 3 times a week. And
he's 99?
At 99.8, and then he kayaks the other 2 or 3 days a week, and he can do more pull-ups than I can do. He can do 16 pull-ups. So, I mean, like, I'm like, geez. And then there's Marco Olmo, who I was on a team with in the Marathon des Sables. That's actually, we had a documentary called Desert Around Me for that, with the 5-member team. But he actually won the UTMB at the age of 57. And he's all plant-based as well.
Wow.
So famous Italian runner, Marco Olmo. He finished like number 16 in the Marathon des Sables at age 67. I mean, that's incredible. So, I mean, he's still going strong. So I do have some really powerful role models. they give me the idea that it's possible to continue going for a long time.
Wow.
And then the technique, like I said, the shoes, the technique I have, like, for the good form, that really has an impact. But I hear what you're saying. There is some limitations. I don't plan to do a backyard ultra every month. I think that would be a little over the top, you know.
Well, I love your role models, and this 99.8-year-old guy that is running 3 times a week and can do 16 pull-ups. Is that at once? 16 at once?
At one time, yeah, you can do it one time. I'd love for you to have him on. And so
you'll have to hook me up with him.
I will.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I can remember when Dave Scott at 42 got second at the Hawaii Ironman triathlon. And, it was like, oh my God, this guy's a grandfather. And he's practically winning the Hawaii Ironman. And, and look at you, you're 44, 45, and you're doing insane things. It's just spectacular.
Well, I appreciate it. And, that's got to be pretty amazing. Like, how many Ironman did you do?
Oh, Ironmans weren't my thing. My thing was the international 1.5K swim, 40K bike, 10K run. It was, I usually did those in like an hour 50.
Wow.
That was my specialty. So
fast.
But so I did in my career, and I had a career that spanned about a good almost 20 years. I only did 2 Ironmans. They both were in Hawaii, and they both obliterated me.
Wow.
They obliterated.
Well, it's beautiful terrain, at least.
It was. Yes. Yeah, it was. It's very, very majestic and magical. Yeah. And it's this fierce beauty out there with the lava fields and everything like that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So tell me, what have you eaten so far today? Like, what's your typical breakfast?
Well, honestly, I had granola today and almond milk with dark cherries, frozen dark cherries I'll throw in. Usually I have that or Power O's with almond milk and chia seeds and blueberries. I love blueberries. I actually got like 2 giant containers at Costco last night of blueberries. I'll probably eat them in about 2 days. But also last night I got just at Whole Foods. There's like a deli. So on the weekdays I do a lot of buying food out. On the weekends, Kelly makes food, and I love to eat her food, so it's amazing. So I had just some mixture of vegetables, and it was like a vegan meatball from Whole Foods with green beans and capers and olives, and it was really actually very delicious. And last night I had burritos from Qdoba. So I had like white rice and black beans, and so that's kind of a typical day for me. I eat a lot of snacks too, so I love to eat. So I'll probably eat like 4 meals. I get home and I'll eat like munch on like some hummus and some healthy type of like flaxseed chips or something like that. And I eat a lot of food, variety. Yeah. I don't usually drink a lot of protein shakes. So the only supplement I have is like vitamin B12. That's it. Yeah.
Well, I think that's great. I think way too many people spend way too much money on a lot of supplementation, on a lot of, protein powders and shakes and stuff like that. And to me, the best way to optimize your nutrition is with whole foods, right?
Yeah,
you're
definitely
getting all of the benefit, all the fiber, all the phytonutrients, antioxidants, the carbs, the fats, the protein, and the perfect balance that nature intended, as opposed to some isolated form that's been stripped of everything. And
right.
So anyway, I think that I'm really glad to hear that you're not doing a lot of that stuff. That's good to hear. Yeah.
I know, that's another thing that's kind of excites me, is that I know I can continuously grow. And like, even what I'm doing now, like Mike Fremont, the fellow I was telling you about is 99.8. He's much more scientific about what he eats.
Yeah.
I just kind of like eat everything. But I know that I can still improve in that too. And that's kind of exciting. Like, I love learning about new foods. There's certain things like I'll do now. Like I don't eat beets a lot, but I will actually drink like beet juice. Like the few days leading up to a big race I really care about. And it's funny, but like it's part of my tradition. And there's certain foods like or spice like turmeric. I know like that's really good for anti-inflammation. You know, it's like I love learning about like the types of foods that can impact you and the benefits of them. So it's exciting it's part of the whole picture, and what's exciting is still be learning about these things.
Yep, very much. And you're exactly right. The science with, the beet juice, the science with the turmeric and being anti-inflammatory with the turmeric and with the beet juice, as far as the nitrates that can allow the blood flow and dilation of the vessels to working muscles, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Hey, Harvey, I'm going to let you go.
There we go. All right.
Because otherwise I could talk to you forever.
I appreciate it. It's been an honor to be like on this with you. And I loved it. So thank you so much for sharing and letting me be a part of the show. And it's been a blast chatting with you. I'd love to connect more on some more adventures in the future.
I'd love to. I actually, let's do this. After Barkley's, I want to have you back on the podcast and we'll talk about how it went. Whether you're the 16th person to finish it,
or the first one to go out, which Lance calls the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, but I want to.
Apparently, he has pegged me as a sacrificial lamb. So we'll see if it comes true.
Okay, well, I can't wait to hear about it. And in the meantime, I'm going to send you a little Plant Strong care package to help. We'll send you some cereals, granolas, pizza crust, some veggie broths.
Wow, you're making me hungry now.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So with that, man, all the best, my Plant Strong ultra distance brother, and I can't wait to connect.
I appreciate it so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Peace, Engine 2. Keep it Plant Strong.
Harvey, the Energizer Bunny, thank you for taking the time after school and before your evening run to speak with me. You are putting out the energy that we all need so desperately right now. In fact, Ultra Runner magazine just named Harvey Lewis one of the top 5 ultra runners of 2021, but you're definitely number 1 in my book. To learn more about Harvey and all of our Plant Strong resources, visit the show notes at plantstrongpodcast.com. Thanks. The Plant Strong podcast team includes Carrie Barrett, Lori Kordowich, Amy Mackey, Patrick Gavin, and Wade Clark. This season is dedicated to all of those courageous truth seekers who weren't afraid to look through the lens with clear vision and hold firm to a higher truth. Most notably, my parents, Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn Jr. and Ann Cryle Esselstyn. Thanks for listening.